Bro, I'm telling you, I could take a tsunami.
Bro, I don't know. I don't think you could.
Dude, what are you doing?
Subscribe.
Turn notifications on.
It's only 2 clicks.
Now enjoying the video. Bro, I could take it. I
I
feel
don't
it.
think you could.
What in the world did we just witness? WWE Monday Night Raw, Monday morning Raw, Monday afternoon Raw, whatever it may be to you. If you didn't catch that one, you missed an absolute banger. C2 Wrestling, your boy Snowden here, yet again, about to get into all things Monday Night Raw, Crown Jewel in Australia. But first, I got to reiterate the point that we always reiterate. If you're not subscribed to the channel, watching all the C2 Wrestling videos, following us on TikTok, commenting down below, you're a coward, man. Get with the program, all right? But C2 Wrestling has got some important stuff to get into tonight because Monday Night Raw was not just your typical Monday Night Raw that we've been getting the last few weeks. You know, Crown Jewel is over. Seth Rollins is Crown Jewel champion. He did it all by himself. He beat Cody Rhodes, the unbeatable one, realistically, when it comes down to it, with no help from Heyman, no help from Bron Breakker, no help from Bronson Reed. What does that mean for the Vision and Seth Rollins leading into tonight's Monday Night Raw? It really meant that Paul Heyman is sticking with Seth Rollins. You know, he made it a point prior that Seth, if you can't do this, don't make me regret picking you over Roman Reigns. But Seth did this. So they come out to open the show today. Seth Rollins in the Vision, heads held high, Crown Jewel Championship around the waist, holding the World Heavyweight Champion. The promo to open the show essentially came across, and Seth said it. He doesn't need the Vision. You know, I don't need Bron Breakker. I don't need Bronson Reed. I don't need Paul Heyman. And it was a little bit skeptical the way he was saying it. I was really expecting another member of the Vision to be added tonight, but that's not exactly the route they went. We do have a lot to get into for Monday Night Raw, but we're going to be skipping around this one because we got to start with really the biggest thing that's happened in a long time in Raw. And, you know, again, Crown Jewel just ended, but we're leading up to War Games. And War Games every year has really been the typical, you can pick these five, you can pick these five, you know what the match is going to be, you know who's going to face who. The only thing that's happened War Games that was outlandish was the CM Punk return. You know, outside of that, all the matches have been great, but it's been very typical of what's going to happen. But leading up to War Games this year, you know, I thought, again, we're going to get Seth and his Vision faction with so-and-so versus Roman and Punk and LA and Jay and so-and-so. And it's pretty standard. I don't know. They shook us up tonight. That main event, triple threat number one contender, CM Punk, Jey Uso, LA Knight. I thought LA Knight was going to pull out the win. I really did. I thought LA Knight was kind of the guy in line to maybe get that shot, to hold over the Punk Rollins match, to hold over the Punk Rollins feud, because I don't think Punk's going to win the belt just like that. And I do think they're more so lining up for Roman Rollins at WrestleMania 42. So I thought it might be LA Knight to hold it over a little bit, but it wasn't. So I will get into the whole Vision thing, but you know, LA Knight, I'm intrigued to see where he goes after this. Is he still involved in the main title picture? Is he still in War Games? Who knows what's going on at this point? Because CM Punk wins the match. He is now number one contender. He gets the pin on Jey Uso with a GTS, knocked out his grill, picked it up off the ring mat. It was hilarious. I loved that little spot. That was very funny, as silly as it is. It was very funny. But Punk standing tall, burn it down hits. Out comes the Vision. And, you know, typical, they open the show, they end the show. I'm starting to think, like, oh, this isn't going anywhere. You know, no new member of the Vision tonight. What's going on? And they stand tall. Executive producers pops up on the screen. CM Punk is taken out by Bron and Bronson. He gets thrown out of the ring. Then Bron Breakker, you know, you got that point of view from his back, so you can't really see the facial reactions, but you see him in the corner. And he is looking a little strange. And he spins it around, hits that spear right on Seth Rollins, goes over to Bronson, essentially says, you're either with me or you're not with me. Bronson Reed quickly hits a tsunami. He says the same thing to Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman raises both hands up high. Now, a lot to get into within just this topic right here. The Vision breaks up. I put little bunny ears on that because is this like a ploy? I know that sounds crazy, but I've already seen some people also discussing this, that, you know, Seth Rollins made it a point. I don't need you. I don't need you. I don't need you. So they attack Seth Rollins. They take him out. Bron Breakker held that World Heavyweight Championship up at the end of that. while CM Punk is number one contender. Is this going to result in Rollins coming back and like, I'm sorry, I do need you. I do need you. I needed you guys all along. I didn't know it. Now I know it. And maybe they relink a little bit. Maybe Rollins helps them win gold in their own right. I don't know. Maybe that's far fetched thinking because they clearly attacked Seth Rollins. But I don't think that's impossible, that this is all some sort of ploy and that Seth and them will get back together to some degree. But it does seem a little unlikely. I do got to also say, listen, I've been on the boat, at least I have here at C2 Wrestling. I know Chris CTD has agreed to a point as well that I don't want the division to break up. I love the faction. I think there's a lot of potential within these three guys alongside Paul Heyman. I don't want them to break up by any means. If you're going to do it, I guess that's the way to do it. Is it too soon? Perhaps. I mean, it is the way to do it. Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker both turning on Seth. They're still together. Like, it makes a lot of sense, but it might be too soon, in my opinion. I think there could have been more of a story to tell. I think this explains why they never won the fucking tag titles, which I'll get into the tag titles in a little bit too, don't get me wrong. But I don't know what they're quite setting up here. CM Punk is number one contender. It looks like we're getting Roman Rollins at WrestleMania. Where does Braun Breaker versus Seth, Bronson versus Seth, all that mix in? I am starting to more so believe that we might get exactly what I started this with saying. As a ploy, not a ploy, maybe a ploy is a bad word, but Seth is going to have remorse. I was wrong. I need you guys. You don't need me, but I need you. And they reform this faction to some degree, but I don't quite know. I'm not disappointed that they broke them up. I am a little upset because I loved the direction of this faction, and I thought they were a great focal point of Monday Night Raw. But again, to the point of War Games coming up, it keeps it fresh. It keeps everybody on their toes. Anything can happen on any given episode of wrestling. You never know. You got to stay tuned. You got to watch everything. Leading up to War Games, who knows now? Is War Games Team Seth versus Team Vision? Are they still a Vision? Team Bronson? Team Breaker? Who knows where it's going at this point? Is Punk going to be teaming up with fucking Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker? There's just a lot of what if now. What if they do this? What if they do that? There's just so many routes they can go. The Vision breaking up, I'm like taken back by it. It was just not on my bingo card tonight, not for a little while longer at the very least. I thought this faction would for sure hit at least the 1 year mark, maybe the night after WrestleMania, being that it was the night after WrestleMania that at least Braun Breaker formed the faction with Seth. Maybe it would be the night after 42 that they would break up and go some separate route. But man, just a hell of a way to end Monday Night Raw. It makes you have to tune in to next week's Monday Night Raw. They'll recap some stuff on SmackDown, but what's next for the Vision? What's next for Seth Rollins? What's next for Punk, LA Knight, Jey Uso? There's a lot of questions that are left unanswered, which is good. You want questions. You don't want to know. You don't want it to be predictable. Our predictability is done good. We say a lot here, but you don't want it to be predictable. If it's done right, it can be, but I'm glad there's a little bit of freshness going on, despite a little bit of upsetness over the Vision seemingly breaking up. But I think that's all the Vision talk I got in me for now. Stay tuned for this week's podcast. I'm sure CTD and I will be discussing some more, but we did get some other action tonight on Monday Night Raw. Penta followed up that Seth Rollins Vision promo, opening the show with a title match against Dirty Dom Mysterio. And a great match. I thought it was a very fun match. Dom and Penta can go whenever they want, all day, any day of the week. Fantastic match. Dom is a superstar. He's really come into his own over these years. We can't hit that point home hard enough. Penta is a megastar in his own right, and they put on an absolute banger. I love the Eddie Guerrero little cheap heat kind of ending. Rusev comes out, gets kind of thwarted by Penta. Penta stops the obvious rush in from Rusev. Dirty Dom's got both belts, tosses one aside, grabs the ring bell hammer, hits Penta in the knee, puts it in his boot, hits the 619. Hell of a win for Dom. I absolutely love that. It does lead to Dom taking on Rusev next week for the IC title. So I'm looking forward to that too, seeing where that goes. I think Dom's going to escape a couple more wins, not necessarily lose the belt yet, but we did see later in the show AJ Styles backstage with Adam Pearce, and they made it official. Dirty Dom was back there as well. Next week it is also JD and Finn, the Judgment Day, versus AJ Lee. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee for the tag team titles, and Dom set that match up. So I think that's the eventual downfall, is that Dom is going to make them lose the tag titles one way or another, and then they'll essentially make Dom lose the IC title at the very least. Maybe not the Mega Championship quite yet. I don't know where they're going with that, but it's the eventual downfall of the Judgment Day one way or another. And I still think they're kind of waiting for the Liv Morgan return, but I can see Liv Morgan eventually coming back and getting into a feud with Stephanie Vaquer, who is currently feuding with the Judgment Day. You know, she was called out to the ring, or not to the ring, but to the stage, I should say. Gets a little promo interrupted by Roxanne and Raquel. Roxanne and Raquel did take on Bayley and Lyra a little bit earlier in the show, and Bayley and Lyra, you know, a fun tag team to watch. Still very fresh for how long they've been kind of attached to one each other now. And Lyra is, you know, going to be one of the next big woman stars, and Bayley is going through a bit of a character change right now that's only benefiting her. She's still absolutely yucking it up as a baby face, but she pulled a little Festus action tonight. You know, it was all fun and games until Lyra hit her with that slap. I was like, the bell rang for Festus, and Bayley went crazy, picks up the win. But it led to Raquel and Roxanne again interrupting Stephanie later on in the show, and it looks like Roxanne is next in line. It's a good matchup to get Stephanie a win. You know, we don't need Roxanne holding that belt yet. Roxanne, again, as young as could be. She's got all the time in the world. I think it's a good showcase for her. I think it'll be a great match between her and Stephanie. But again, just add to the win column of Stephanie Vaquer. You know, you got to pile up some wins for her. I do think maybe this is also a little bit of potential tie-in. Maybe Roxanne gets a shot and loses. Raquel gets a shot and loses. Liv gets a shot and wins at some point down the line. Who knows? Stephanie is one of those girls that can hold the belt forever, or she can lose it, win it back, lose it, win it back, lose it, win it back. You know, she might have 10 title runs by the time she's done, especially considering she's only been with the company for how long, and she's already won the World Championship, the NXT, the North American. You know, she's all around the globe when it comes to title runs already. But I believe that might be majority of what we got into tonight. You know, Bronson Reed got a win over Jimmy Uso in the midst of all this. I'm just kind of starstruck by what they're doing with the division here. Australia, you know, that's the tour. SmackDown, Crown Jewel, Raw. See Australia sometime soon. I'm sure they're coming back. But a little bit of a shame we didn't get Grayson Waller on this show. I do believe he was probably in some off-air segment, you know, pandering to the crowd, whatever. But I would have liked to see him out in the ring tonight in Australia. I think he would have got an electric pop. So that's the one thing I will discredit them for tonight. We should have got some Grayson Waller action, but still a little bit of a different ending for Monday Night Raw. I cannot complain in that sense. I'm looking forward to all things to come now, especially Monday Night Raw. I'm hoping Friday Night SmackDown can stay fresh, spice it up a little bit. Maybe a heel turn is coming soon for a guy like Randy Orton. Jacob Fatu versus Cody Rhodes is fresh on the docket, so there's a lot to look forward to, at least in the world of WWE, but there's definitely a lot to look forward to with C2 Wrestling. We are not going anywhere. Survivor Series is next in line at this moment. We'll be live, so you got to stay tuned in. You got to subscribe, like the videos. Again, comment down below. If you don't, you're missing out. Yeah, man, I mean, you're just a fucking coward. How else am I supposed to say it at this point?